gentlemen, welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron. What's going on, buddy? How are you today?
Oh, no, I'm doing good. I am excited about wrestling this week. Happy Father's Day in advance to you, Nick McDaniel. And, man, I'm going to have to watch Clash of the Castle probably on Sunday because we've got the big shindig happening Saturday night. Looking forward to seeing Heath and all the guys again. Boy, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
It is, man. It's lots of stuff. Hey, I know last week we teased a little WCW, the Who Killed show that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. We're not going to follow up on this week because last night while I was watching an episode, no, I tell you why. I got one of our Patreon members hit me up and said, hey, I want to talk about it. And guess what? It's going to be a behind the paywall thing over on our YouTube channel, on our Patreon page. Because, look, that's where you're going to find all the cool stuff. Go to our YouTube page. The handle's at tappedoutpod. If you're curious, like the page, subscribe to the page, click that little bell, turn notifications on. I actually made a joke with somebody yesterday. They were like, hey, when does it drop? And I'm like, well, clearly you haven't hit the bell. So hit the bell so that way you get your notification. YouTube, Patreon, hit them both. Patreon.com/tappedoutpod is the other option as well to get the shows. Not only get this show early, but also get those bonus content shows like that as well. Because I think we're trying to debate, we're just going to wait until that series is over and take a deep dive into the whole thing of our thoughts and, because that's what they wanted to do. So
well my plan was to watch the whole thing straight through because I hate episodic stuff. You know, I've got the point in my life I like to watch the whole series through. Which have you been following the Star Wars one? I haven't. I'm behind an episode on that.
No, I haven't. There's just so many things out there that I just kind of, I think, I don't know how interested I am in it yet. That's kind of the big telltale thing. Mm-hmm. But if I do, I'll probably wait till that one's over. Like if Mandalorian comes back, I'll dive right in week. Yeah. You know, but this one I'm just kind of like, I'll probably wait till it's the whole thing's over and then just go through and watch it. So. Yeah.
Man, what a great time to be a Star Wars fan, too. My adulthood is better than my childhood. I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah, and look, speaking of which, I mean, did you like pay-per-views on Saturdays, right? Now, granted, we're going to have to turn around and we're going to have to watch this thing on Sunday because we'll be out at an indie show on Saturday. But that's okay because guess what? That's what the PLE, that's what the Peacock, that's what the whole on-demand thing is all about. I'll wake up Sunday. All turn it on and sit there and watch it on Sunday and,
No spoilers. No spoilers.
I've never really cared for spoilers because, look, all right, let's go ahead and dive into it a little bit. Clash at the Castle in Glasgow. Sometimes we do predictions. You want to do predictions for this one?
I'll look at it. How about this? Every Scottish talent on the show. What was the old Saturday Night Live bit? If it's not Scottish, it's crap. We got all of them. Who all's not on this show that's Scottish?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I don't know enough of their own.
I hope Alba Fire, condolences on the death of her mother. I know it happened right before the NXT show. I believe she's supposed to be on this show. Drew McIntyre always kills it. That promo Piper Niven cut on Bayley was amazing. I was super stoked about that. Well, let's go on through the card. Nick, you want to start with the championship match?
Let's save it for last. I'm going to really mess with you and go out of order because I think I want to save the two main titles towards the end. Okay. But I don't think it's listen, and we say this every show, right? Like it's not really difficult, I don't think, to predict most of these matches, but that doesn't mean that, predictable doesn't mean it's bad. You brought up Bayley and Piper Niven. We love Piper Niven, but I just don't think she's the world. You know what I mean? I just don't think that.
No. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make it very competitive. It's gonna be a tough match, but Bayley's gonna win. It's gonna be enjoyable, but Bayley's gonna win because she's Bayley.
Can I give you a total left field call for Bayley's title reign?
What's that?
It's not true, by the way. By the way, this isn't the weekly conspiracy segment where I just make shit up. Let it be Chelsea Green. Let this whole Piper Niven thing be a lead into just go, give some other, give Chelsea a chance and lean into that, and it leads to a Bayley versus Chelsea, and maybe Chelsea gets an opportunity to take the gold and run with it for a minute. I love her character work. People can say,
"Oh, the character
work
work's
is hysterical.
amazing lately. It's killing it." And those global wrestling wear costumes, man, that's dynamite. That's dynamite. And did you see the thing with her and Maxine Dupree backstage when they had on those? She looked like C-3PO and Princess Leia. Oh, that was really kind of cool.
Nerdy.
Yeah, it got my nerd going.
Yeah,
but
and here's why. I think you're doing a good chance of separate. Like, because here's my take. It'll lead me into the next match: Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill against Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. Folks, let me tell you my predictions. Agree or disagree, Ryan? This Cargill Belair team, they're gonna be champs for a while.
Oh yeah.
They I think the star power look of them, they just look great together.
Yes.
And I think they put a whole ton of equity into those tag team championships.
And they also keep Jade Cargill in a spot where she's somewhat protected. She's got somebody in there that can save her if she needs saving. Bianca Belair is phenomenally talented. Jade Cargill is an athlete, just an amazing athlete, but she's not that perfect on her wrestling yet. She's doing great. But now you've got somebody with her to protect her from a bad spot. And they look great. They're a great team. Now, this is going to be a slobber knocker of a match. I mean, this is going to be a good, hard-hitting match. Looking forward to it. But, yeah, they're going to leave those belts on those two. I'm big on Zoe Stark, though. I am really big on Zoe Stark.
Oh, no, I agree. The logic that I'm bringing to this, if they're not tag champs, why are they not in the title picture?
Yeah.
I think that's, like, use some logic here. Let's just do a couple things here. One, here's the explanation of why they're not, in the title picture right now. They are tag team champions. It builds credibility for those titles. Yeah. And like I said, and they look like $1 million out there with those titles. So, and it does protect, I think, the big one. Yeah. And I think protecting Jade for now is really good. You get a lot of miles out of her being in a tag team.
Yes.
So that's
and I mean, that whole Storm is coming thing and all that bit. Perfect. I'm loving that.
Here's probably, in my opinion, the second most difficult match to predict. Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. Why? I think this one's a little bit difficult. Chad Gable's contract. That's what makes it difficult, right?
Well, we keep hearing the whole, I don't know if we're going to cover the new WWE contract thing, but I think this is going to be Chad Gable's contract. And this is going to make things interesting. This is probably going to blow Alpha Academy apart for the last time. I think this is going to be the big match to separate Chad Gable and make him a superstar.
I think Chad Gable, in the leadership of the Alpha Academy, is what's making him the star that that he has risen to at this point.
Mm-hmm. So you don't think Otis and them leaving Otis will make him a bigger star?
I don't know that it'll make him a bigger star. It will make him more hated if there's a complete total fallout.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
The question is, if he hasn't signed, he's clearly taken the loss. Look, I mean, that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that part out. If he has signed, there was that rumor that went around that he, becoming Intercontinental Champion was part of the offer that they made him to stay. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weak. I'm not, I don't, promising people championship reigns. I mean, like, what do championship reigns even mean?
That sounds like indie wrestling.
Kind of. But so I just think that Sammy wins, Sammy retains. Even if Chad Gable stays, I think the smart move would be what you said. This is the moment where Otis and, Maxine and Tozawa have had enough.
Yeah.
And they walk away from him.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I think, see, Sammy doesn't need this belt. Sammy can come back and get this belt later. We can build a whole title story around it if we need to. But I don't know who's going to win this one. I would predict Chad Gable, but the belt is kind of a prop in this story.
Here would be my question to you. I'm not saying Sammy needs it. The Intercontinental belt's always been for the most part, history told us the Intercontinental belt was the workers' title kind of thing.
Yeah.
The reason I say leave it on Sammy, if there's the split with the Alpha Academy, it's about to be multiple ifs. If Chad Gable did resign, if they do the split, do you really want the Intercontinental tied up in a feud with Chad Gable and Otis? Over but I don't think that feud needs it. It's so personal about what he's done to them.
Yeah.
That's why I say keep the belt on Sammy and have Sammy move on. Because why would Chad Gable move on from the IC title for a minute? Is because he's got the issues with Otis. So that he'll be distracted long enough. Could he come back later? Yeah, because then guess what? He'll be able to blame Otis for the reason why he lost on this one.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I'm listening.
I'm saying that's why I would keep it on Sammy, and I think they will, but I'm not, that one's kind of a toss-up maybe. Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. You would have thought this would be the one I ended on, right? But it's not, for a couple of reasons. I just can't see AJ Styles winning this match. I just cannot see them turning away from Cody.
No, they can't. They're not going to take this belt off Cody. This is going to, and I don't even know. I mean, I don't know through the rumor tree or anything else if this is AJ Styles' walk away. Is this? I mean, we've got this whole TNA thing starting. This whole TNA connection where AJ Styles was the biggest thing since sliced bread. I don't know what to tell you, Nick. This is I hate AJ Styles has probably been my favorite wrestler for so long. And just the thought of him retiring is makes me sad. But I don't even know what to say. But I can't see him taking the belt off Cody. I mean, that can't happen, Nick. That's
the one. I just don't think it's time. That's why AJ doesn't take this match. I think he quits, disappears. But I do agree with you. I think an AJ appearance, and I think people probably underestimate the possibility of AJ Styles walking out on a TNA pay-per-view. That would be kind of fun. It really would. And I know people are like, oh, we're going to discuss the whole crossover here in a little bit. I think there's a lot that can play out there down the road.
Quick question, Nick. Are you going to buy the next TNA pay-per-view?
It's a possibility.
I've bought one, and all these years I bought one TNA pay-per-view. But I got to buy the next one, Nick. I've got to buy the next one because there's going to be surprises. I don't have any choice.
Yeah. I mean, look, we'll discuss. I know I got a topic in a minute. We'll get into what we think is going to happen in that pay-per-view and things like that for sure. But before we wrap up and move on from Clash at the Castle, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre has, to me, the most questions coming out of it.
Yes.
I could stand here for days and argue both. Here's my take. What's your take first? I'll let you go first on this one.
Whatever happens in this match, if Drew loses, you're going to see a massive implosion where Drew becomes a total lunatic psychopath and starts just killing people. If Priest loses, it will be, I know they're banned at ringside, but there'll be some kind of Judgment Day thing that turns out to be the implosion of the Judgment Day and causes it. No Liv Morgan on the show. Dominic's not on the show, but they're going to be there. So there's so much swirling in the background on this. I gotta see. This is another way out conspiracy theory speculation, but I'm going to put Drew McIntyre walking away with the belt. That's all I can do. I mean, that's all I can figure.
The most likely case is Drew McIntyre walks it, because would this be the second time he would have come up short in his home?
Yeah, I think
remember
so.
he did. Remember he lost Roman.
Yeah.
So my thing is I think the most likely scenario is Drew wins. However, this is the only deviation that I've come up with where this otherwise. Because the easy answer is Judgment Day's banned. Damian Priest is losing. You know who's not banned from ringside? CM Punk. What if, because we think about the implosion and the anger if he loses. What if CM Punk causes him to lose again and just keeps him from being the champion again? Can you imagine how big of an implosion Drew McIntyre is going to have if CM Punk cost him another opportunity to be the champion?
Well, once again, we've done the whole. Now Myron has to see the show. Myron may have just wanted to watch the show, but now it's must-see TV. Remember must-see TV?
Mm-hmm.
This is must-see TV.
Because here's the thing, Myron. You're going to tell me, though, but hey, the rumor is that SummerSlam is Drew McIntyre and CM Punk for the title, right?
Yeah.
Y'all forget there's a Money in the Bank pay-per-view in between these two. PLE, sorry. What if McIntyre McIntyre won the Money in the Bank and cashed in on Damian Priest after Money in the right away? Then it's his first defense would be against CM Punk at SummerSlam. By the way, you want to hear a weird take? I don't think that feud needs the title. It could be just straight personal. Every time McIntyre thinks he's going to be what if McIntyre wins the Money in the Bank, tries to cash in, Punk stops him again?
Well, that's the thing. This feud was going great without the belt with Punk and McIntyre.
Correct.
That whole, one guy was standing up in the stands and the other guy was down, and then the other guy was standing up and the other guy was down. I like that a lot.
I mean, it's not, it's just literally the frustration. Punk enjoys the frustration of McIntyre. And maybe that's it. And then McIntyre thinks he's getting over on Punk, but he's not. It's, he's behind the scene. Every time he won the title, he costed him the title. He goes let's say he goes into the Clash of the Castle. He thinks he's going to win. Everything sets the table for him to win. Punk cost him again. Let's say he's in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Punk cost him the Money in the Bank ladder match. On and on and on. All these scenarios, that thing could just become so personal it doesn't need the title. And then this Damian Priest, we can still have the implosion of Judgment Day where he feels like, I don't need him. I'm saying there's a lot of things. That to me is the hardest one to pick. But if I had to pick, Nick, I'm going to steal a page out of Rob Rod's book here. My prediction that's most likely going to be incorrect is I'm going to say with Damian Priest. I think Punk cost Drew McIntyre this opportunity.
Okay.
So,
especially in his home country, if you just want to build friction.
That's what I'm saying. Because look, what was one of Vince's big things? He always made you look like an idiot in your hometown.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Vince isn't there, folks. I'm just saying that's kind of was a thing for a long time. So anyway.
With Vince dies, are we going to mourn him, Nick?
I have learned one of the things over the years, and here's the thing. This is a tough one to say, I think, for a lot of people. I think you can appreciate people's contributions, positive contributions to entertainment businesses, entertainment, whatever you want to call it. Listen, I caught myself. I'm not going to say that name. Sorry. I'm always like, there's a couple people that I'm like, hey, yeah, we glorify this guy, but did we forget about this? And then there's other hey, and then I'm like, but then there's somebody else that does something, you're like, oh yeah, we can't ever forget that. I'm like, really? You like this guy, but not, okay, whatever. So my answer is this. I can, and just actors, musicians, and I have learned to be able to like take the two things and separate them. And I understand the like, hey, if you buy their stuff, you're supporting the person. Yeah, I didn't say that. I'm not talking about buying and supporting them that way. I just can sit there. Look, how many movies did a guy make that's a total douchebag that you could still sit there and go, okay, the movie is good. I understand he's a total douchebag, but that doesn't mean, you know, there are a lot of actors that I sit there like, and then look, we don't ever talk about it. Let's not go down the rabbit hole. I'm prefacing before I say this. The people that say like, oh, I won't watch this guy's movie because I don't agree with his political beliefs, or I won't buy this guy's music because I don't. Why? What? I mean, like, so if you said that about everybody, dude, you wouldn't hardly do anything in life.
Yeah.
You just haven't dug deep enough to find the dirt on everybody. All that said to be said, I think, by the way, we assume, and I'm not saying it, we're assuming Vince McMahon is the complete douchebag that everybody, you know, he's a total shitbag. Okay, let's start there. If he is, I know. After I said it, I called it. Let's just say he is. You still kind of have to say he did create the WWF. I mean, he made a bulk of your childhood. You know, is made that way. So I think people have to kind of keep some of those things in mind, and that's what I mean by that. So anyway, let's move on. That's just a total
finish that for me, pal.
Yeah. So the worst thing. All right, let's move on to the next up because this is not really a Vince thing. I want to talk about the hottest news of the week: Ricochet. This is going to be one of the hot take segments, so there's going to be a take that people are not going to agree with.
Honestly, I didn't give two shits until Monday night. I did not give two shits about Ricochet until Monday night when they stuck him in the middle of a story and they made him interesting. Because, you know, Ricochet can't talk. Ricochet's not interesting in the slightest. But all of a sudden, they threw him in the middle of a story. He saves Dragunov, who has a great match with Braun Breaker. Are we not getting these guys right out of NXT who are ready to rock and roll? Put them on the main roster. Things are great. I love Braun Breaker, but they have a phenomenal match. Ricochet comes out to save him. Braun beats them all up. They go backstage. Braun's been they're fighting on a Chevy, brother, because Hogan's. I just enjoyed it. Samantha Irvin's all upset. They take Ricochet out. That's so great, old school, Nick. I'm concerned about what's going on with Ricochet now, but outside of that, he's never once. He made his career in a mask, not talking. And then they took the mask off of him and his magic was gone.
So I think, the disagreement that we have here is that I think there is a section of the fan base that is just about in-ring work. Work rate fans love him. He's one of for years we heard he was one of the best wrestlers on the planet. Him and Ospreay had that ballet performance over in Japan that a lot of people absolutely loved. By the way, it was a spectacle that I thought was intriguing and interesting. Was it my favorite kind of match of all times? No, that doesn't mean it sucked. It just means it wasn't for me. But he's very weak in a promo. Just factual. I think he's not a great promo. But it is what it is, folks. By the way, I want to tip my cap to the Kevin Nash, Rey Mysterio spot where Braun Breaker spiked him into the trailer, a la the Nitro thing. Yeah. And by the way, how topical it was. They literally just showed that on Who Killed WCW like last week. So that was entertaining. Great callback. But here's the thing. I got a ton of notes, and I'm going to go all over the place, and this is probably the segment we were worried that was going to be just the most haywire. It should Ricochet leave? Okay, first and foremost, let me backpedal up and go, as of recording Wednesday morning at 12:15 p.m., I don't think Ricochet's leaving. That kind of ass whooping they put on him screams, I want to come back and get revenge. Down the road, the Samantha Irvin getting into the ambulance with him and all that.
Oh,
yeah. I find it very difficult to believe now, because if they were just going to if he was getting released, I would have thought they clearly would have been like, have a match, and you're off to the sunset.
Well, he would not have ran out there. That wasn't his match. He wouldn't have ran out there if he wasn't going to be involved and he was going to be written off. That's the thing. There was no purpose in him coming out there.
Well, it set up the table for that ass whooping outside.
Yes, but they weren't going to do that unless he had a storyline coming up. If you were just going to go away, why come out there at all? That's the way I see it.
All right. And so there's that's our thought. Like, I don't think he is leaving. But here's the but. The whole thing about, oh, this guy should leave and he should go be booked somewhere else better. Oh, if he goes to AEW, he'll be booked better, or blah, 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 whatever. I mean, what's he going to do? I mean, if he goes to AEW, like, first of all, and I know your joke, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole of that joke, but let's just say, set the table. There are even as many championships as AEW has. There's still only so many. So it always boils down to go over there and they'll book him better. Really? I mean, he was on TV every week. I mean, he was in a pretty, whatever. Look, and I get the whole joke of the Speed Championship. They literally made a belt that was probably built for him. Now, I'm not saying it was, but that belt was built for him, essentially. But, Myron, even as many as there are, there's only so many. My question to somebody would be, and I'm sure somebody's going to give me the example, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. If you're giving him a title because he deserves better, who are you taking it away from? Because there's only so many belts. So if you're going to give him one, who's giving up theirs?
I got to get Conrad to find out who Conrad's getting those belts made by, because I want to get the You Deserve It belt made. Okay? That's the title AEW has. AEW has a bunch of You Deserve It belts. So, like, if somebody deserves a belt, they just make one up and stick it on them. And that's insane. Okay? And that's what they're going to do with him if he goes over there. We're going to give him a belt. We're going to figure something out. And if we have to take it off somebody who deserves it to put the belts on him, we're going to make up another belt so somebody can have that belt back. I don't understand. You invalidate your entire belt system when you keep giving people belts. Okay, maybe they gave him that speed belt in WWE, but that was a thing to get him more exposure. Maybe that was
that's a Twitter buy. That's a total Twitter advertising. That was what that was.
But folks, go to AEW. Go to AEW, draw a whole bunch of money. You get to retire after about 3 months when Tony Khan gets tired of you, and still draw a paycheck. You get put on your shelf back there with the rest of the wrestling Funko Pops. Tony forgets about you when he gets a new toy. It depends on what you want. It's one of your career things. We look at it. If this wasn't a pattern that keeps happening, we wouldn't keep talking about it. But Tony Khan continues to put people on the shelf after a few months, and these people want to work. So stay in WBE. Your wife or fiance is making a wonderful career for herself. She'll probably be there as long as Lily and her hired Finkel now at this rate.
I mean, she can still stay there if he leaves. I mean, that's not necessarily. I mean, look, would she leave? Maybe, but that doesn't mean she would. Tony would hire her. I mean, I'm sure he would. But by the way, we're all under this nasty assumption being released by WWE is necessarily be a bad thing. Here's the thing. It wasn't for Matt Cardona. It wasn't for Nick Nemeth. I mean, go out there and see what your options are. Everybody's like, oh, well, he should go and he should sign with, AEW. What about TNA? What about New Japan? What about, I mean, there could be a million things from Sunday he wants to do other than just jump over there, because it's real simple. Go to AEW. He's going to have a feud probably with Will Ospreay because everybody wants to see those matches again. They want to see them in the United States. Then what?
Well, I mean, even if he stays with WWE, we've looked at all the things coming out about the way they negotiate for talent now. Because it's TKO and not Vince. Vince taking care of talent. Vince taking care of talent. TKO is negotiating things like they were employees. What have you done for me lately?
Here's what they're treating them like. This is going to be the toughest pill to swallow. I didn't put this on notes on purpose. They're treating them like freaking athletes.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is everybody's like, Hunter's going to treat it more like a sport. TKO's treating it like UFC. They're treating them like athletes, and from the sense of sometimes contracts don't get done until the last minute.
Yeah.
And by the way, we understand, how many times have we seen this with football players? I know lots of people that listen to the show that are football fans. Sorry, United States football. We know we have some overseas fans as well. We understand and respect the fact that that you believe you're a by the way, there's a Mr. Copeland that found this out. We understand that you believe that you're a $3 million a year talent. For what we're going to get out of you, the position on the field that you play, we think you're worth $1.5 million. If you want more than that, we wish you the best in your future endeavors and good luck over at AEW.
Go explore your options, you know.
Because here's my thing. If they may not see Ricochet, he might have been asking for a number. And they're just like, look, hardcore truths are, we don't think you're worth that.
But we see the same thing. Every contract that's coming up, wait till the last minute to sign it. Negotiate it out. It's like sports now. It's professional now. It's not a buddy deal. I mean, look, Vince is not signing his buddies. Nobody's getting that WCW paycheck like the old days. You know, AEW might be luring talent, but WWE is hiring talent based on what they want. And they've got the money and they've got the swing right now to do it.
Look, before we move on, because I just saw the time. I'm like, wow, we've been, for the first couple of topics here, we're on a long one. I believe TKO sees there's a top-tier talent that's worth it because they're getting a return of investment out of those guys in merch, ticket sales, etc. There's a level below that. They think they're all interchangeable and replaceable, just like they felt that way probably with UFC fighters. You know, they look, if you don't believe me, we're going to discuss NXT a little bit more in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
They're all replaceable. I honestly believe that's probably the case. So, but anyway, let's keep it moving, because
if you're a talent, this is scary.
It is scary. And speaking of scary, man, look, our friend William. Look, I talked to William the other day. He's got a new episodes coming up shortly, and the only way you're going to find it is if you're heading over to his YouTube channel, liking, subscribing, turning those notifications on. So as soon as they drop, you'll be all caught up on William's scary things. Are you a fan of the strange, mysterious, and unusual? Do you enjoy stories told firsthand about creepy experiences? UFO encounters, ghostly apparitions, near-death and afterlife experiences, even parallel universes? Well, if so, you need to check out the YouTube channel William Scary Things. It is a new, albeit determined channel. William was influenced as a kid by books, movies, stories, all that were passed down by his friends and family, and they all had a creepy theme. What started out as a scary story narration is now a long-form interview process with people who have experienced weird and unusual things firsthand. Do you want to hear about a house with the former owners that were laid to rest right in the front yard? Yeah, told by yours truly. Well, if so, William Scary Things has you covered. How about a witness to the Phoenix Lights, probably the most renowned UFO sighting in modern history? Maybe you want to hear about a first-hand encounter with a ghostly apparition late one night with a photo to boot. No problem. William's got you covered there too. Were you a fan of the Scary Stories to Tell and Dark Book series as a kid? Want to learn more about the Solway Firth spaceman? Well, if so, it's all right there. So head on over to William Scary Things and check out his latest episodes and give him a like, subscribe to the channel, heck, leave a comment. Trust me, there's nothing to be scared of. That's right, man. Check out William Scary Things over on his YouTube channel. Easy for me to say. Like, subscribe, turn the notifications on. Don't miss an episode as he releases it. I saw a cool little teaser trailer for the upcoming episode. You definitely don't want to miss that one. Which, of course, look, we discussed scary things. Well, now let's get into crazy things.
This is weird.
These two next topics kind of bleed together a little bit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Bleeding might be the right word for it, too.
So last week, by the way, this is our conspiracy segment where I'm completely fabricating, making things up, but it could be true, of the week. So last week we discussed Collision. The overnights, it came out and it was like, it was like 122,000, some ridiculous drop that they made from the week before. Turns out, folks, wasn't even close. 378 was the number. Look, not good, not horrendous, but not good.
3 times what was reported.
You're right. Which also leads me into a couple things. How did this get out? Like, how did that 122,000 number get out at all? We all act like we know, right?
Somebody at the neighborhood, at the network brother.
Had to start somewhere. Here's the crazy thing is, the rumor that's flying around, by the way, stop acting like we all know everything about wrestling, because we don't. If we weren't sitting in the room, this is one thing I've learned about Who Killed WCW. If you weren't sitting in the room, stop acting like we know. We don't know.
Took me a whole roll of tinfoil to make my tinfoil hat for this segment.
Yeah. The rumor is, what if it was somebody that from the WWE offices? I'm not saying Paul Levesque. I'm not saying Bruce Pritchard. I'm not saying any of the powers that be. I mean, because look, what did they say about it in the wrestling journalism world? If enough people say it, everybody believes it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wrestling's one of those things, that you can pull that kind of stuff off. Maybe actually you could probably do it with real sports too when you think about it.
Dude, you can do it with real life. That's the problem. If you say something enough on the internet, how many times do we go where like stuff getting passed around and you're like, no, that's not true. Like I saw, totally real quick, I saw a post yesterday with the whole Joey Chestnut thing being banned because of the endorsement deal.
Yes.
The post I originally saw was Joey Chestnut was banned because he's a vegan and he refuses to eat the meat hot dogs. Okay, that is not what happened at all. It's because he's endorsed by Impossible Foods, who makes, but it wasn't like, so it's always funny. And it was crazy. What really cracked me up, I scrolled through my feed a little further and saw one that said the reverse, that he was only wanting to eat meats. He wanted real hot dogs. And I'm like, that is not the truth. Yeah.
I only saw the headlines. I didn't read the story. I didn't realize Impossible Foods was not meat. And then also, I could care less because I don't understand how those people don't choke to death.
Who, the hot dog people?
Yes.
Listen here. Nick's stance is anybody who wins the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Championship that does not have Joey Chestnut sitting at the table has an asterisk beside their championship. That's all I'm going to say.
Or my ex-wife.
I mean, who knows? But look, here's the thing about NXT.
See, I can start a rumor right there.
Yeah. So the 378 final number here, we're going to talk a little Collision here because we're going to blend in now to their residency that they have. But I wanted to ask you a quick question. Why is NXT even remotely competitive? We're going to come back to that. But that's a question,
isn't it?
There's going to be a call back. Well,
the only weakness NXT has is those dumb ass backstage segments, especially with the Mafia.
Well, yeah. But we're going to call back to that. That's the next category. We're going to come back to the why. And I think, why is it competing? It shouldn't be, blah, 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 blah. But before we move to that point, more details. This recording thing sometimes throws us off. The Collision residency was announced. More of the details came out because we were asking, like, last week when it actually came out, we were like, are they paying $232,000 per show across the 6 shows? And of course, now it's come out that it's across the 6. It's 4 live collisions, 1 tape collision, 1 Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. They're going to do in that esports arena in Arlington, $232,000 basically across the 6 shows. I'm just really going to rattle the math fast. They're setting it up at 1,290 seats, $45 a pop, roughly $58,000. So they're going to make roughly, if they sell out, $20,000 per show. is what they're going to make on the gate. The huge part being if. I don't know that it's so much about ticket sales as it's a cost-cutting measure across the board. Because, look, I don't know what a building costs. Like, what is
also the travel expenses. You don't have to travel. You just set your equipment up and shoot it the same way. You don't have to buy all new stuff and travel all and get a car rental every time for your crew. You can just put in a crew there and shoot the whole thing. Seems to me like it's cost cutting across the board, not just building costs.
Well, I mean, you still got to fly your talents in and your people in because they're still going to be traveling to the Dynamite episode. I mean, they're still going to be traveling to Dynamite. It's just going to be your ring's going to be set up. You don't have to move anything into the one time. So, but I just, again, a cutting cost in general, I think that's what they're looking for. I think it was probably building costs. Because here's the thing. I don't know how much profit they were making putting 3,500 people in 10,000-seat arenas.
Well, it's stabilized. They're stabilized now. They can't bleed out in this situation.
Well, my point being, if you paid like $232,000 across 6 shows, if I knew what it cost to rent State Farm Arena, you see what I'm saying? Even if you sold 3 times as many tickets, were you still losing more money if you didn't? If you only sold 1,000 tickets to this, how much are you losing?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you're not. You're still making about $7,000 as far as the actual ticket versus the building. Yeah. Now, look, talent's a separate issue altogether. So, I'm kind of excited. By the way, we saw Battleground, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yep.
Maybe this is an opportunity for them to get to set up something like we see weekly with NXT. Who knows down TNA. The road? Yeah, we've seen it in TNA. Maybe this is something that's more of the sign of the future with the TNAs and the AEWs and stuff like that. Maybe it's something more that they do long.
Yeah, they were very ambitious to come out of the block with 2 traveling wrestling shows as a young promotion. Remember, Smackdown was not added till how long in the WWE history?
Years.
Okay, so they were very ambitious. So scaling back is not a bad sign. Scaling back is a reasonable sign. You know, I think they deserve a break on this one.
Oh, no, I look, 100%. I think they're hedging their bets there. But, Myron, speaking of hedging your bets, you know where I like to? Look, over on Prize Picks right now, they're doing some really cool stuff where you get protected plays, which essentially says, hey, bet $20. If you lose, we'll give you your money back in promo funds. So, basically, you're going to get to play again. So, how cool is that? But that's who I use, man. I look at it every day. I don't play every day. I try to be responsible, which you should too, when you head over to Prize Picks.
You still working on this?
It's 2 minutes to kickoff. Who do I pick?
2 words, Prize Picks. It's so easy. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's just you against the numbers. Simply pick the over-under on 2 or more players, and that's it. You can win up to 10 times your money in just one day. Join over 150,000 people who found a better way to play. Download the Prize Picks app today and get your first deposit match up to $100.
That's right, man. I love Prize Picks because it makes it a little more fun when I'm just kind of doing the game, watching the games and stuff. And even look, it's got me even interested. I pay attention a little bit to the WNBA, and by the way, speaking of esports, you can bet on esports as well.
I'll tell you what, I probably do a lot better than the stock market because I'm getting hosed over there right now. Jesus.
Yeah,
maybe I'll take that money and put it in Prize Picks.
There you go. But look, maybe you were kind of. Your expectations weren't managed on the stock market. Maybe that's where that was, right? Maybe you got to manage.
Well, I was invested, much like I was invested Saturday night.
So we're going to talk a little bit about NXT Battleground. Not so much the actual nuts and bolts of the pay-per-view, but what shocked me a little bit was there were a lot of people complaining about, like, this is all we got from this TNA crossover stuff they're doing. I mean, they gave you Jordan Grace in a match on an NXT PLE.
Yeah, my grandmother used to say you wouldn't be happy with a gold butthole, and that's what these people are like. You can't make these people happy. You got a crossover star on a pay-per-view in a main event in a phenomenal match. Okay, a phenomenal match. That match to me was put together so well. and the start. Okay, what did you expect? Did you expect an invasion angle on the first night? This was groundbreaking. Groundbreaking.
So here's the thing. I'm kind of in the middle there because I will pull back and I go, the groundbreaking thing, like she was in the Rumble. We've had the Forbidden Door. We've had guys jumping from Japan to AEW. We've had somebody now from WWE wrestle in Japan. You know, Shinsuke went over there and worked. So we've, like, here's the thing. I essentially wish, could we please stop the Forbidden Door conversation? Like,
the door's not forbidden anymore.
There's one. I think there's one left in wrestling. AEW to WWE. Those two, like that door. But here's the thing. I don't rule it out that it's never going to happen. But any other thing is not a forbidden. That ship has sailed, folks.
Yes. And AEW can't say, oh, we did it. Yeah, you did it first. But, I mean, it's like Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it. You're not the only person doing it now. You're not special anymore. It's shared. AEW and WWE are both doing it, so it's not forbidden. It's just, it's interesting.
And Myron, if you want to give full credit, WCW did it first. They were working with New Japan. I mean, well, as far from that level. I mean, territories were doing kind of stuff as well. But like as far as on the national show, it'd be like, okay, well, WCW did it. They were outright had a working agreement with New Japan, bringing talents, crossing them over back and forth. So, but
hell, WWE is working with indie wrestling now.
Yeah, I mean,
in Georgia here. How cool is that?
Like, yeah, that's a whole other, like, we'll come to that. I wanted to ask you, so how about we build the story, right? That was the question. Like, they just couldn't jump in and, like, I think people wanted Matt Hardy, Moose, everybody to come running out, and this is like a great big, cluster. And I'm like, dude, how about we pump the brakes? Because I think WWE thinks a little bit longer term than just one PLE/TNA pay-per-view. If they're going to, look, they're talking about, if they're going to work, I think clearly there's the talks of, like, there's going to be, by the way, we're recording on Wednesday. There's supposed to be an announcement made, I believe, in about 23 minutes. We could have waited, right? No. WWE and Noah are going to have some type of an announcement. So somebody's probably going to work with Noah, right? I saw Io Sky. She's working a match over in Japan now. They announced it at one over, so I'm like, that's when I talk about kill the Forbidden Door thing. And then, yes, now I want to address the one you just mentioned a minute ago. I was completely worked by the Brooks Jensen thing.
Yes.
Look, we're not going to rehash it. Well, when he showed up at Bullpen Pro Wrestling here in Bowden, Georgia, and the logo across the bottom said Brooks Jensen and not Ben Buchanan, which, because his dad owns the promotion, I would have thought. But it said Brooks Jensen. I'm like, all right, dude, he's in. He's got to be, if it's going to be seen anywhere, it's got to be his WWE name. And then, of course, on NXT last night, he does another spot, but this time it's on camera. He's cutting another promo. Look, if Shawn and, look, I get it, Shawn Michaels is running NXT. That's his baby. Paul Levesque is clearly running, and they're all on the same page. You can tell their brains are very similar in the thought processes. If Shawn Michaels is willing to work with a talent, to work social media the way they did, and now go into an indie thing, I'm like, dude, I don't put anything back, because he's teased he's going to show up at Impact, TNA. Then the NXT Tag Team Champions, they are successful at the PLE. They throw out an open challenge, and Chris Bay and Ace Austin kind of respond like, we're down, let's roll.
Yeah,
I'm like, good. Yeah. What, by the way, because we're talking about all these potential players. Mustafa Ali could come rolling up, right? He's the X Division champion. How could you imagine Mustafa Ali in the X Division there's an X Division match for that title, and you have like him and like 3 guys from TNA, and then like 1 or 2 from NXT slip over there and slide into that match? How crazy that could be.
How about Roxanne Perez goes to TNA and challenges for the title? I mean, you're talking about thumb in the eye, nasty heel work match. That was a good one, folks.
And then punked her, essentially. Told her, you may be good, blah, 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 but you got lucky tonight. maybe that sets in and she gets a little ticked off, and that's why she goes to TNA to say, no, I'm not. It wasn't lucky. I'm going over there, and I'm going to take her belt. And then Jordan Grace gets the comeback with a win to keep her title over there.
Yeah.
There's just pieces, guys. It's
and
something
you know,
a little
from what
more.
we've heard of rumors, no comment.
Yeah. There's lots of them. That is true. So, but Myron, you know where we would talk about our rumors, Myron?
Where?
If we could, we'd hide them behind a paywall, right? Over on our YouTube channel, there you see it. You go, make sure you're going over there, like, subscribe, turn your notifications on. But look, become a member. That's the cool thing. If you are a $5 level or higher, you get the show early, get the bonus content. Some of that stuff is behind the 5, 10, 25, depending on what all we're going to do as far as where it's at. Patreon as well, same exact model, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. But, of course, every single week, you're going to get the audio formats of the indie show on Tuesday, the national show on Thursday, and those, of course, are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartMedia, and any other platform that's out there. I pretty much can guarantee we're there. Subscribe. You know, mate, while you're at it, give us a 5-star rating and review. We would greatly appreciate that, man. That's super fun, and we like that for you. I know we're running late. I had one other thing on the notes, and I did want to ask you about it just super fast because it's not like a long conversation. The Uncle Howdy QR codes have continued. Essentially, the last one broke down. It was a clock ticking down, and it was essentially telling us that I guess next week on Raw, we're finally getting Uncle Howdy. What do you think? B, do you think they give us all 6, or do they tell the story and like play it out and drag out the characters a little bit at a time?
I don't know what they're doing. I hope it's good. I don't have a lot of expectations.
I mean, look, Eric Bischoff put it out there. This is going to be a very high risk, high reward maneuver.
Well, there's high expectations. You know?
I think people need to learn to manage those expectations. And here's the thing. What we just found out about the NXT TNA, crossover thing, don't set your bar like we want it all in one shot. Like, how about we slowly let the story play out, folks? Let's not go into that microwave society where we got to have it like immediately.
Well, people are expecting the ghost of Bray Wyatt to come out, and it's going to be just the same as it was prior to his passing. And that can't happen. You're going to get something different, but similar. Wait and be patient. And I'm telling myself that, not just you. This never was my gimmick in the first place. Maybe it will be. Maybe it will.
I'm hoping, hopefully, it'll boost it and get a little energy in behind it, because that's what I'm hoping. And look, if you're looking for a little boost, a little bit of energy, check out our friends over at Dubby, WD.GG. We have our links. It's in the show notes. Click on that. It gives us a little kickback on for all your Dubby purchases. Not only do they have energy drinks, they've also got hydration sticks, etc. Check them out again, W.GG. That's how you can find them on all those social media platforms. But again, make sure you're using our link. But God forbid if you go straight to their webpage, of course, you can put in a promo code, tappedoutpod, and we'll still get the credit there as well. So check them out, Dubby. And, of course, last but not least, our buddies over at jmartinandcompany.com, pressure washing, window cleaning. Look, I can't recommend them enough. They do great work. They've done my house. They've done my mother-in-law's house. They've done a ton of people that we know. Commercial, residential, all your pressure washing, window cleaning needs, jmartinandcompany.com. Hopefully, I'll see those guys next weekend. That's what I'm hoping for. So if you're listening, Jamie, hit me up. I want to make sure we get to that show together next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else you got for me, brother?
No, man, I think we did an excellent show today. It was a lot of feelings, and people love feelings, and we didn't hide all of our feelings behind the paywall, but there's some great stuff back there, folks.
That's correct, man. Well, all right, brother. Well, if that's all you got, man, what's the old saying? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.